Hello, hi, it's Julie Rothwell here on the Bloom's Art House page. I promised that I would come on today and share the Encaustic Stylus with you. So I'm going to be painting with this little tool today. And I'll show you how I work with that. I'm hoping that my connection stays okay. We have got Storm Eunice coming through at the moment and it is blowing a hoolie out there. So I've come upstairs. I'm hoping that this stays connected. Yeah, it's been an interesting day so far. We've lost a couple of apple trees in the garden, which is a shame, but yeah, but touch wood, hopefully everything else is all fine at the moment. So hoping that everybody else is safe and well. So if you hear a load of gusting outside, that's what that's about. Anyhow, right, let's, oh dear, right, fingers crossed this stays going. So what I'm going to do is show you, I'm just going to do a little bit of live painting with my Encaustic Stylus. Hopefully you can see. So this, it takes a little while to heat up, so I've had it heating for a little while. I've got my button on there, but what this tool has, this is called the drawing nib, and hopefully you can see at the minute this has kind of got a reservoir through the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip that into the wax, and it almost acts as a fountain pen. So that reservoir is going to fill up, and then I'll show you how I draw with it. And then there are loads of different attachments. So I'm just gonna, I've got this square one out at the moment, so I'm going to show you how to draw with this. But there are so many of these different tips, from circles to squares to ovals to stars, hearts, you name it. So it's a really fun way to go about painting. So let me start off by showing you how it works, and then I'll show you how I introduce it to some of my other pieces. So I'm hoping that this is warm enough by now to, so yeah, okay, so if you can see this okay, I'm hoping that reservoir I think is actually just so, whilst I'm dipping my stylus tip into the wax, what generally happens, if you can see through the, get the light, there we go, that you'll begin to see that the wax is there. It's actually full already now. It's just the reservoir has filled, and so it'll say exactly like a fountain pen, and then I can start to, you know, move this wax around, so I can draw with it. You know, I'm not going to do a finished piece here. I'm just going to show you how the wax flows. So, you know, you could scribe names or just do beautiful shapes. It's really lovely for a kind of a Zentangle. Lose yourself for a while. You can see that one nib of wax goes on for quite a long time. It's running out. It's just about gone there. There we go. So, you know, one nib of wax does hold quite a lot of wax, and you know, a good amount of flow in there, and you can actually start to kind of manipulate this wax out if you wanted to. You can spread the wax that you've got on the paper around, and you know, so you could literally kind of paint this as you would. Imagine you've got a felt tip pen and draw and paint in the same way. You can also blend colours, so I can add different colours alongside and start to kind of blend them together to get different tones. And you know, I've got a bit too much blue there. That's not a very good colour blend. Just to start to blend your colours in. You know, if I add white to that, it's going to bring the colour down. And actually, this isn't, obviously it's never quite the best technique to demonstrate, because I always feel as if I try and rush it, but it's really, actually, you get much better results if you're really slow and really kind of zen with it, and really take your time. I'm always conscious of people's time, and I try not to take too much, you know, try to keep these lives quite short, because, you know, I'm aware of the time that people are taking to watch, but I'm being mindful of your time basically. But if you really take your time with this, you can really get some really interesting colour blends that you can mix together, and you can keep on going over and, you know, blending the colours. So just playing with the colours is great. I'd say very, very therapeutic. And what the key to this as well is really make sure you've got a really light touch. If you're really kind of dragging it across the page, it really kind of scratches it. But if you literally just sort of, much the same with a lot of the encaustic painting techniques that I share, if you go really slow and really gentle, that wax just spreads along really nicely. So I'd say it is a very slow, great for mindfulness, you know, very slow, very lose yourself in it technique. So I'm not kind of looking at finished pieces here, I'm just playing with the wax basically. Some great firework displays or anything going on basically. So there's just a little application of the wax. I can't see if anybody's watching live, so I'll come back. If you've got any questions, do pop them in the comments and I'll come back and answer later. But I'll keep going for a moment. So to clean the stylus, I do have different ways that I'll do it and really kind of get an in-depth clean, but for the purpose of this I'm just going to use some tissue. I can dip it into clear wax, and particularly if I'm going, as I did here, I was blending, but if I was going from a dark colour to a light colour, I would really clean the wax out of that with a clear wax, and you know, make sure I was starting with a fresh nib of wax there. But you know, if you're sticking with fairly, you know, reasonably dark colours, then I just tend not to worry. You know, you can begin. So you can see the control that you can get with this tool, really, is I guess where I'm coming across from. And as I say, really you can paint in, you know, as you would any other medium, really. There is a brush tip, actually I should have brought that out. There's a brush tip that goes with it, like a painting brush, and that has little wires on, so applies in exactly the same way, but you can cover larger areas at the same time with that. But this is my favourite, the drawing tip is my favourite tool, and I really like it because I don't know if you saw earlier in the week I was doing my self-portrait, but you know, if I really want to go in after I've gone in with my paintbrushes and I've been fusing with my heat gun, this is really great for adding little bits of detail. I mean, I add detail in a number of ways, but it's really good for just adding, you know, if you just want a little dot. I didn't add the whites of the eyes with this, but a little bit around the edges of the eyes here and eyebrows, and you know, just for little details. It's a really lovely tool. I always say as well, there's no one way to paint with encaustic. There are so many ways. There's different, you know, there are numerous tools that you can use for the same effect, so don't ever feel that you have to have all the equipment, because there's always a workaround. But I just wanted to show you the stylus today and just share some of my tools of the trade with you. They're not mainstream tools that you tend to get everywhere, and there aren't very many art shops that supply them either, certainly in the UK, so it's great to, you know, show you something you might not have seen before. So there we are, that's the painting drawing tip with the Encaustic Stylus. I'm going to show you this tool now. Let me take, right, so now this section of the stylus at this point is really hot, so you really have to mind your fingers for this part. You really will burn your fingers on this if you touch you know, the metal part. Just before I do that, let me just check if I've got any questions, see if anybody's watching. I can't see. Oh, hello Mac. Mac's on live. Lovely to see you, Mac. Thanks for joining. If you've got any questions, pop them in. So I've just done a little drawing demo with the stylus, with the painting tip. So I'm going to put this one in, and these, you can get some really lovely effects with these, particularly mixing colours. So yeah, number of ways, you know, just a tissue. Sometimes I use, there are a couple of different designs of the stylus actually. Sometimes I use the pliers. The old style, the pliers were brilliant, but this new sort of twist in one I find a little bit more, it's not as easy to put the tips in and out. I'm verdict is still out on the old versus the new stylus at the moment. I think I do have a YouTube video that explains the differences between them if you do want to know. If you want any help with supplies or anything, pop questions in because I can help you. I used to supply all of the equipment, but since moving out of my studio, and actually supplies are becoming more available, though there are some changes afoot. But yeah, if you've got any problems getting hold of them, just let me know and I can help you with that. So, yes, so that's basically, it's a screw in, it's just a threaded screw to change your tips over. And yeah, you're ready. It just takes a minute or two just to heat up. Let's stick with that same colour for a moment, just because I love that colour so much. And all you do, and again, there's never any pressure with this. It's really, everything is as light a touch as you can. And you can either kind of, you know, just build up a number of shapes. Just gently put it down on the paper. So this is a particular encaustic paper that I'm using here at the moment. And it's just literally as light as a feather. Yeah, you get about 3 to 4, so you get normally quite a thick piece, and then, you know, it gets a bit lighter. So if you want to keep the darker tones, then you just add more wax on. You know, go back over again. But you can also spread the wax using this as well. So you can, you know, you're almost kind of just spreading that wax across the paper in a very thin layer, depending on the effect you want to get. The other thing I love doing with this is almost kind of putting your stylus tip in half and half, and you get these really lovely colour blends going on. Hopefully it'll come across on camera. You can mix in colours from underneath, so if I decided that was all a bit of a mess, I'm just going to add some heat to it and see what I can do. And the thing I always say with encaustic as well is never, if you're painting with it yourself, never panic that you've messed anything up, because you can just keep going over it. You go into it, you can always create a really interesting pattern or a shape through what you had on there before, just by continuing to move that wax around. If you find things are getting a bit mucky, it just takes, you know, clean your tool that you're using off again. I was getting 3, 4, 5 colours, the 4 colours mixed in together there. Just get a bit of, I love silver on wax as well. You get some really lovely, oh, can you hear that wind? My goodness. But, you know, just add a bit of silver on top, or just, you know, just keep blending until you find an effect that you're liking. You can use the edge here. Through colours. So if you can see on this piece here, I'm going through the blue at the top, but actually by striking through it, I'm then moving the blue from up here back down to the bottom, and it just, you know, adds a really quite a nice harmony to the whole piece when you're, you know, so you're basically moving wax from the top to the bottom, bringing it up through. So there are lots and lots of things you can do. And ways to use the tool, basically. Right, I'm just going to pick up. Oh, this is a really great tip as well. The amount of workshops I've done, people put the encaustic stylus down, and it's either this really hot section ends up touching the electric cable, or it moves and it leans against their wax block, and there's a great big puddle of wax on the table, which you can still use, but you know, it's not ideal. But if you have a stylus and you've got just an old utensil pot or something similar, I just put a little bit of tissue in the bottom just to catch the wax drops in there, and that it just keeps it really safe. You know that you're not going to be burning anything around, and you've got your lead out the way. So that's a really good tip if you choose to use it. Right, I'm going to see if there's any. Let me turn this around so you can, hopefully you can see what I've been painting. As I say, no great finished pieces here, but just gives you a little bit of an idea of how that heated stylus works. And all you're doing is you're taking wax blocks from a solid form, you're using the heat to maneuver and manipulate the wax, and then once it's solid again, it stays put. So there we go. There's a little little short and sweet encaustic wax stylus introduction. So it's a really versatile tool. You can use it for so many things, but that's a very short little introduction for you. Yeah, any questions, let me know. I'll come back and answer them later, and hopefully this live hasn't been interrupted with the winds that are going on outside. Anyway, I'll come back on later and see if there's any more comments. All right, take care. Bye.